Hi guys. So it has been a while and I'm sorry about that. If you notice, I'm kind of in a new space. So the past 2 weeks have been absolutely crazy. In some of the best ways, but definitely just nuts. I think I mentioned before that Harry and I were living in one bedroom in my parents' house in the basement of my parents' house, and that my brother lived upstairs. So my brother actually had my childhood bedroom and his childhood bedroom upstairs. One was his like man cave and one was his bedroom. So on January 2nd or 3rd, he decided that he was okay with moving all of his stuff to the one room in the basement and that Harry and I could have the two bedrooms up here. So I'm in one bedroom now, my pink princess cave, and Harry is in another bedroom over that way. So it's been kind of crazy. We ended up, obviously we had to paint and we had to move all this furniture. And my brother wanted to do a little bit of work. Like that basement was only partially finished, so he did a little bit of work on like the unfinished side. So he could like have like a mudroom kind of thing so people, his friends, can come in and out our bulkhead. I don't know, just weird. Sorry, my cat is here. Speaking of, in the past 2 weeks, I've also lost one of my cats. I had 4 cats. My oldest baby girl, she did cross the Rainbow Bridge a couple days ago, so that's been hard. And on January 5th, and it's still ongoing at this point, I started student teaching. And I think I've mentioned before that I did spend 2020 without a job, and that I loved it because I got to be home with Harry, but it was really hard. I was going to school online to get my master's in education, and I'm actually graduating this May. But in order to graduate and get my teaching license, I do have to student teach for, I think it's 15 weeks. So it started January 5th, and I will be doing that till the end of April. The great thing is I am literally 3 blocks from the school I'm teaching at. So it's 3 blocks that way, which is great. It makes my schedule great. And yeah, so that's been a really great thing, but it has been a big change getting up every day and getting Harry ready, getting me ready, going out of the house, especially after the craziness of 2020. And for about a week, Harry was also going to daycare. I'm not going to get into that whole thing, but Harry's daycare got really bad. They were really disrespectful to me and disrespectful to him, and it just got to be a really bad situation. So he's not going to that daycare anymore, but I'm still looking for a good one. So we're working on it, juggling schedules and stuff. So yeah, now you can see why I have not been on in 2 weeks, because it's just been crazy, but things are settling in. I have a much more like concrete routine. My room was the last one done. So Harry's was done first, and I was sleeping on his floor. My mattress was on his floor for like a week and a half. And that meant I couldn't do a lot in his room because my furniture was crammed in there too, and it's not a very big room. So I finally like moved all my furniture in here after it was painted, and I got his room done. And then I still have to do a couple things in here. Like I'm not totally happy with this wall behind me. It has a couple pictures of us, and right there is a photo of Florence, Italy, which I did study abroad in college there. So I wanted to bring some of that in, but I might add some more photos or something here, and I have to get a bookcase for like over here this is a doorway to like my closet space, but on the other side of this doorway, there's like a blank wall that I want to put a bookcase on, and get some of my books out of storage. But yeah, it's coming along and getting into a really good schedule and routine, and I'm really enjoying student teaching. So things are going good. That's my little life update and like the longest intro ever. So sorry for that. I did want to talk to you guys about my embryos, because the last time we talked, God, I don't even honestly remember what I talked about. I know I had updated you guys that some of them were going for testing. I don't even know if I said that number. So let's just recap. My egg retrieval was December 26th. You can go watch like my egg retrieval videos on my channel. But my egg retrieval was December 26th. At that point, they retrieved 20 eggs. Of those 20 eggs, 15 of them were mature and were implanted with donor sperm. Out of those 15, 13 of them actually took and became embryos. Out of those 13, 9 of them made it to day 5/6. So they did grow my embryos for 6 days instead of just 5, which I guess is common practice from what they told me. So out of those 9 embryos, all 9 of the 9 that made it to day 5/6, they were all sent for PGT-A testing, which is basic genetic testing that I think at another point I did compare to like the 10-week blood test you would have when you're pregnant. It just looks for chromosomal abnormalities. It doesn't look for any specific diseases or anything, but it will tell you, you know, it can diagnose certain things. Like it could diagnose Down syndrome is probably the most common one, because it would see that you have that many chromosomes. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be totally wrong, but I think Down syndrome is trisomy 21. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong. If I am, definitely correct me down below. But obviously doing that, they would see 3 chromosome 21s. And those embryos would be abnormal, and ones that looked, you know, great and normal would be euploid, and I'll put it right here, our vocab word of the day. So out of my 9 that were sent for testing, 7 of them, 7, came back as euploid, so they were normal. And the 2 that were not were definitely abnormal. One of them was missing half of her chromosome 13, I want to say it was, and that was a little girl. And the little boy that was abnormal, he was missing half of 2 different chromosomes. One was 15, and I forget what the other one was. But actually, my notebook is right here. Oh, so I was completely wrong. The true abnormal ones, the female was missing her short 12, so she was missing half of 12. And the male was missing half of 3 and half of 17. So yeah, they were definitely abnormal. And the euploid ones, they do a grading system, and if I can find a link to a good website with the grading system, I will link it down below. I'm still looking for a good one, but my doctor explained it to me, and I'm just reading my notes from her, that they grade letter-wise, so they all have a number, and my hospital's numbers are way different than like the standard, so I'm not even going to get into the numbers. But the number is followed by 2 letters, and it's A through D are the letters. So like one of my embryos, actually what they're considering my best one, she, female, is a day 5. She is what they're calling a 7AB. So what that means is I don't totally get the number, so I'm going to ignore that. But the A, the first letter, is for the baby's gene, the baby's cells, the cells that will become the baby. And A is the best, D is the worst, and as you go, like in school. And the second letter is for the placental cells. So again, A is the best, D is the worst. So my best embryo is a little girl. She is embryo 8 out of 9. She is a day 5 embryo, and she is an AB. So her baby cells, like the cells that will become her, are A grade, and the cells that will become her placenta are B grade. And I do know the genders of my embryos. I have, I'm just talking about the 7 euploid ones at this point because they are the ones that we will be implanting. Out of those 7 is what we will be implanting. So I have 3 little girls and 4 little boys. I texted my friend when I found out, and I'm like, I'm basically Octomom because I have Harry and I have my 4 little boys and my 3 little girls on ice, which is just crazy. I think I said at the very beginning of this that I really expected to get like maybe 3 or 4 embryos, to have, you know, like 2 more kids. And I have 7. And she told me that they're all really great grades. 5 of the 7 are day 5 embryos, and 2 of the 7 are day 6 embryos. The day 6 are both little boys, which, you know, doesn't matter, but just a little fun fact. And yeah, I don't know, it just feels really crazy. I guess going through the whole thing, you get really excited and you're through the whole thing, so you don't stop and think about what this all actually means. But, you know, I found out last week how many embryos I had and their genders, and I'm just sitting here like, wow, I have 3 daughters and 4 more sons. And it's a very bittersweet thing. One, it's amazing because I now know what my family is going to look like. It's going to be some combination of those 3 girls and 4 boys and Harry. And the bitter part, the sad part, is that not all of those 7 are going to be born. You know, I love them all so much, and not all 7 of them are going to be here with me. And yeah, that's a really weird thing. Because I think I've mentioned this before too. I love names. I'm very big on Instagram and like the naming community. Like, I personally am not big in the naming community, but I'm very deep in it. Like, I follow a ton of namers, and I love to comment on names and read names, and I have lists upon lists all over my house of just names that I love. And I think that's what made it so hard to name my son, is that I had so many names I loved. And when I found out that there were these 7 people that are, you know, my children, I named them. And one little girl, I'm still iffy on her name, and the 4th boy, I'm iffy on his, but the rest of them have names. And I think that's, you know, my mom told me not to do that because then I get very attached, and it's going to be harder when I can't actually give birth to them all. And definitely, tell me if I'm crazy or what you think about this, but to me, I feel like, as someone who did go through an ectopic pregnancy, a presumed ectopic / miscarriage, I named that baby, and that's something I do have to sit down and talk about, and it's kind of getting the strength to do that, because that was a really hard experience, obviously. But I did name that baby. That baby's name is Jude. I don't know if I've said that before, but I think one of the hardest parts for me about that was that I didn't know who Jude was. I didn't know if Jude was a boy or a girl. I personally felt that it was a boy. So I picked a boy's name, and I do tend to think of it as a little boy, very much like my Harry. But that's something I'll never know. And I think for these babies, I needed to name them because I know who they are. And whether I get to hold them or not, they are parts of my soul. Oh God, I'm getting so emotional. I'm sorry. They're my babies, and I went through a lot to get them. And even if I don't get to hold them all one day, their names are in my heart. And I think that's why I did it. And not to mention the fact that I love names in general, and I honestly probably could have named all 13 of them if I had known. I did play around with naming the 2 abnormal ones. I haven't, and I honestly, those 2 I probably won't, just because those I've already verbally agreed to donate those 2 to research. And again, that is something that you can definitely have your opinion on it. For me, it was either keep them on ice and pay for storage of them, knowing that they were 100% never going to be born, or destroy them immediately, which I personally just don't feel comfortable doing, or 3, donate them to science so that their their existences help somebody else. So I decided to do that. And once I do move the 7 embryos, the 7 of them, to my fertility clinic from the hospital, I will be actually giving permission for the 2 abnormal ones to be taken by science. And I don't know exactly what they do, but I don't know. To me, that just seemed like the only clear option. And you can definitely have your opinion on that, but that is the decision I made for them as, their mother. And yeah, God, just talking a ton today. I'm sorry. That's what happens when I go 2 weeks without sitting down and talking to a camera. I just start blabbing. But yeah, that's like all the crazy updates of everything. So you guys are officially caught up in all of the egg retrieval and embryo freezing process. I am in the process of getting my records moved from the hospital to the fertility clinic. Once they're at the fertility clinic, I can set up an appointment with my doctor there. He and I will talk about the 7. We'll make a plan for them, and we will move them. So that's probably a couple weeks away, to be honest, because medical things move slowly. Like, moving records is not something that they do very fast, in my experience at least. And then getting an appointment with the doctor himself. So, that's going to be a process. But yeah. And of course, I've said this before, but I will reiterate it. I don't plan on getting pregnant anytime soon with these embryos. I do want to finish my student teaching this spring and get my license and get a real teaching job. And I would like to be in a classroom, like in a teaching position for at least a full school year, if not two, before I have another baby. I have massive baby fever, so don't even get me started. Like, my best friend is due in like 2 months with her twins, so they will be here in like a month. And I'm like so excited to hold babies. I miss tiny babies because my son is almost 14 months old and he climbs stairs now, and he says mine, and he has started throwing temper tantrums. He's very much in the terrible twos, which I did not expect at this point. So, you know, that's my life. But yeah. Oh, that's another thing that I didn't mention at the beginning in my long ramble about what life has been like for the past 2 weeks. At the end of 2020, like literally like the last 3 days of the month, I got contacted on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you totally should, by the way. It's at Mama Maria YT. I'll put it right here. And I got contacted by this editor from a website called Love What Matters. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this. I had heard of it, but I hadn't read a ton of their stuff. But anyway, this editor contacted me. She said that she came across my Instagram and my channel and she loved my story. And she wanted to know if I would write my story for their website. So at the end of 2020, I think I actually submitted it on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I wrote out my story, I submitted it to them, and it did go live on their website. I had the link to the story on my Instagram for a while, but I will link it down here. You definitely don't have to read it. It's a lot of stuff that I talk about on here anyway, but yeah, it was really nice to get to sit down and write my story. I love to write. I went to college for communications, so like writing's my jam. And that was a really cool experience. I never said this, but I almost started a blog instead of a YouTube channel, just because I do love to write. And I kind of weighed the options, and I don't know why, but I did decide to make a YouTube channel instead. I guess I could have done both, but I don't know. Hindsight is 2020, I guess. Yeah, but the point of that was that the link to the Love What Matters story will be down below. And if you'd like to read it, I'd love to share it with you guys. Because of that, I have been talking to a few people, both in my like personal life and through friends have actually put me in contact with people who want to be single mothers by choice. And it's been really cool. Like, I know some of you guys have reached out to me on Instagram specifically to chat and ask questions, and I love doing that. People always start with an apology when they do. Please don't apologize for reaching out to me, because I love to talk to people. And I think it's such a cool thing. And yeah, like, I've been put in contact with a bunch of people, and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy talking to people. So if you do have any questions or you want to chat, definitely feel free. If it's something you want to talk about in the comments, you can definitely do that, or you can message me on Instagram. Like I said, it is Mama Maria YT. The link to that will be down below as well. And I think I've rambled enough, guys. Yeah, I've just been talking for almost half an hour about the crazy updates in my life. Other than that, again, I've rambled so much, but it was great talking to you guys again, and hopefully, no, not hopefully, definitely, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.